Hello, hello everybody. Sorry we're a few minutes late, which actually is probably about when we normally start it. But I do feel bad because I was just sitting here at the computer watching crap and lost track of time and happened to see that it was 9:30 and I was like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be online on the chat right now. So luckily, my great panel members and friends that I have here on online with me here. Jumped in real quick, and I'm waiting on the other video to start. There it goes. So I can mute it. Here on online with me here, jumped in real quick. Now somebody else has got it going. Anyway, so now that I got that muted, got the panel members here. I'm going to let y'all do an intro, and I'm going to do this from blah blah blah. Don, do an intro. Trees are blowing.
Just basically shooting guns and a little bit of everything on my channel. Just released a new video today on the smokeless, berry plated bullet versus polymer versus TR's powder coated bullets. That's about it for me.
Yeah, my bullet's lost, but compared to a normally lube bullet, cast bullet, they still awesome.
Oh yeah.
Matt, would you like to say anything?
Yes. Hey everybody, Matt from Resist Tyranny, Guns, Gear, and Politics. The politics part of that title is usually on a chat. I don't do a whole lot of pre-recorded political videos anymore. They're mostly shooting videos, training videos, and gun and gear reviews. So check that out. And newest one got put out today a few hours ago. My Stupid Gun Control Arguments, Volume 6, or Part 6. And I'm actually starting to run out of stupid gun control arguments, believe it or not. As many as we all hear every day, it's like there's got to be more than 7 or 8 of them. I'm starting to run out of ideas, so I think I'm going to put out an SOS to all my subscribers and viewers, and start leaving comments on good stupid gun control arguments you've heard, and I'll see if I can make it into a video.
Yeah, well, hell, they all are about the same thing, so I can understand that. I mean, once you hear stupid, I mean, how much more stupid can you hear? Their arguments are usually the same thing. Once you hit those 5 or 6 points, you kind of got it whipped. It's like here's the shit they keep just regurgitating. That's what they do. They just regurgitate the same BS. So yeah, I can see how you're running out of ideas because they just keep saying the same crap over and over. All right, Blue. Go ahead, Mr. 1,000 subscriber member.
It's about damn time. It wasn't real too worried about it till I hit like the 960 mark, and it was like, oh, come on, let's go. But anyway, yeah. As far as gun topics go, we don't need guns. We got the police. We have gun-free zones. We got all that good stuff. So just turn your guns in, be good little sheep, and everybody will be safe. But anyway, did hit the 1,000 sub mark. That was a pretty big one for me. I didn't really think I was going to be on YouTube that long. I know a lot of people kind of wish I wasn't, but we're still here. So get over, check out the giveaway video, get in on it. The only thing I will make a quick mention on, seems like a lot of people think that all you have to do is type in "I want in" and it's going to put you in for the silver and the speed loader, and it's not going to. Those two are just for the VRs, and then everything else is down to the comment part. But that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I had to say, I won't say, well, as soon as I seen the video, which was just a few hours ago, I was just sitting there waiting to hear what you had to do, and I was about to jump up and go make a video, and then it had to be a trick shot or something like that, and I was like, damn it, it'll be like Wednesday before I can do that.
Yeah, you got a month, so I just want to see people doing cool stuff. I mean, and like I said in the video, I don't care if it's with a gun. You know, throw a tomahawk, a knife, a crossbow, whatever you got. Just go out and do something cool with it.
I actually feel like a really big ass right now. I've been talking to Blue for a long time, and I had no idea he made videos.
They're not that interesting. You're not missing out on much.
I really had no clue. I mean, I feel like a total shitheel right now. I had no clue.
It's all good, man. I thought you were just screwing around when you put that comment up there on the internal.
Hey, and Blue can attest to this, and we've all done it. We've all made some really shitty videos, but I remember when Blue first started, and it was around the time that I kind of was starting out, and I remember watching these long, boring-ass videos because I wasn't subbed to many people. Do you remember the ones where you was riding around the farm on that four-wheeler or mule or whatever it was? It is like a 20-minute video, and it was just holding the camera, riding around the farm.
Yeah,
I was like, damn it, that's 20 minutes of my life I lost right there.
Yep, that was whenever you first started off, and yeah, you just really don't know where you're going with it. You have an idea where you want to go with your channel, but yeah, that was there's some of those out there, and probably the biggest failures, which I took off, were those crime reports. I know you were a fan of those, TR.
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually like those.
I went to your. I'm apparently subscribed to you. I don't know why you don't show up in my feed, which is probably why I didn't know you made videos, and I feel even worse now because you have 353 videos. It's like, that's a lot. How did I miss that? I don't drink that much anymore.
Well,
I don't have an excuse.
now you do to a certain degree, because just because you're subbed to somebody, their videos don't show up in your feed. And that's something I've definitely noticed over the years. And every once in a while, I need to do it more. But if I just think of somebody, I'm like, you know, like you, Matt. I know you make videos. If I hadn't seen a video from you in 2 or 3 weeks, I will actually have to go back and look you up. The problem with that is we're not going to think to do that for everybody. You know what I mean? So it's understandable. There's probably I'm sure I've missed a buttload of videos from people that I'm subbed to that I want to see their videos, but you know, they don't show up in the feed. I'm too busy watching the ones that do show up in my feed to think to go back and, hey, I ain't seen one from whoever, you know.
I've done the same thing, and like I haven't seen, who was it I was looking up the other day? Oh, Hal Osborne. He does bluegrass. I hadn't seen one of his music videos in, I don't know, probably a month, and I'm thinking, boy, he usually puts them out once a week, 2 a week. And I went into my managed subscription, went over, and somehow he got unclicked. I don't know how they do it, but they do come unclicked sometimes. That way I get emails from everybody.
It's weird because, like, I don't know. Well, it's been a while, I guess, Mr. Funfisher, but like TR, I'll watch one of your videos, right? And then you show up in like my recommended feed, my watch it again feed, my, you know, I mean, just everything feed, you know? And it's like, I've seen these videos. And then you'll disappear off my main page. And it won't be until like a chat or something like that where I've, you know, because like right now I currently have your video running, you know, on a different page, just like most of us probably do, you know, the live show. And then you'll show back up. Same thing with Don. Not Blue, because I don't know that I've seen one of his videos. But it echoes for a lot of people, you know, out there. It's like, Yeah, it's weird how that works. And then I'll watch like a music video. Like I like music. I'm a big metal fan, and if you look at like my history, it's full of music. And I'll have not one gun video, not one political video, not one anything video on my recommended feed. It's all full of music videos.
Yeah, especially if you hit your home button, over there still your channel, subscribers and all that. You hit your home button, and it'll just be filled up with either channels you're not subscribed to, even if they are gun related, or like you say, music. I'm the same way. I listen to a lot of music, but not past videos of people I'm sub to. Sometimes they'll show up, but it'll be a video from 3 years ago. It's like, what the hell? And the recommended for you videos, I'm sure you've all experienced this, it recommends your own videos to you. It's like, what the fuck is that?
The one that always gets me in my feed, and I know this isn't what we like started this chat for tonight, but the one that gets me in my feed is Demolition Ranch. I love that channel. Great channel. He's got funny videos, but it's like I'll watch whatever shows up. It's like, oh, I haven't seen that one, so I'll watch it. And then he will be in every playlist of recommendations for like a month, and it's the same video I just watched. Then it'll disappear. Then I just happen to be browsing through, and it's like, hey, watch this video. Well, I've seen that video, but I go ahead and click on Demolition Ranch. And he's got like 9 videos out. It's like, where have those 9 videos been over the last month when you were begging me to rewatch the same video I'd already seen twice?
Yeah, the YouTube algorithms or whatever they call it, they don't work that good. I mean, I guess they try, but all right. Since we just kind of talking YouTube or whatever, I was a little late to the show. That was my own fault. Anybody that just jumped in, I just wasn't watching the clock. My bad. But I'm gonna go ahead and do a rundown because I ain't got time to type in everybody. So I'm gonna do a rundown right quick. We got Sandy's Passion, Frank L, HNRE42, AZ Patriot, Southern Style 357, Oxjaw, Rich 4150, Gimp Geek, Survival, Fuzzy to You, Fuzzy to You, VBorg 001, 19, I don't know, Habana, I don't know, 75, Keen Snake 1,
Cohiba.
Cohiba, okay. Let's see if I can catch anybody else. SKS Hugo, of course, Blue, War Prophet, Julia Campbell. Catch a new name here. I'm trying. Working on it. Shaker HP. Hey man, I ain't seen you in a while. Chris Do-It-Yourselfer. There's Matt. Indiana Patriot. There's Don. I'm sure I'm going to hit some new people here eventually. Y'all carrying on quite a conversation there. I'm a little bit behind tonight. My bad. Alright. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. But anyhow, that's
You got to catch BC. Yeah.
Yeah, BC Truck Rebuild, Repair, Repurpose. Sorry, man, I was scrolling.
After that comment, you got to catch him.
Yeah, BC's cool. A lover of bacon. You gotta like a man that likes bacon. I mean, well, you're not really a man if you don't like bacon, but that's just my opinion.
And not turkey bacon. That's not what we're
No.
talking about.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Meat candy, as you said the other night.
I got a T-shirt that says "Bacon is meat candy." That's you damn tootin'.
We had BLTs for supper tonight ourselves.
Why would you fuck up bacon like that?
I'll always put one slice of tomato on mine. I don't like that lettuce. You can take that lettuce and go.
So it was a bacon sandwich.
Bacon sandwich, that's close enough.
There you go. I had bacon tonight. Ooh.
That mean we're going to hell?
Well, probably.
Now
Might
this
be.
means that there's no Muslims on the panel. That's what that means. I think we should pack all our hollow points with bacon.
I'll tell you
I
what.
already got them dipped in bacon grease.
Whenever I finally get my ass to come down to visit you one of these days, I'm going to bring you down farm-raised bacon, farm-raised burger, chops, all that stuff. And I don't know. I was never a big fan of like pork products, except bacon. I've always liked bacon, but like pork chops and that type of stuff, I've never been a big fan. But holy crap, you can't beat it. I'll have to bring you down some, just let you see what you're missing.
Well, I hope you come and visit me up in Michigan.
Does anybody else find it amusing that the cop is bringing bacon to the party?
Hey, I'm a cannibalist. It's all right.
I mean, he could Blue, sorry man, he could have just easily said, hey, I'm gonna bring some bacon and donuts to the party. It's like, no, say it ain't so.
No donut. I hate donuts, but we call those power rings.
Power rings. Hey Blue, have you ever seen the picture? And I don't know what country it's in. I don't know if it was here or wherever, but the fishing for cops. Have you seen that picture?
I don't think.
It was one of these rallies, like one of these government meetings that people go and protest and rally at, and there was of course the line of
I'm looking at it.
yeah, there was the line of cops that look like that look like Star Wars troopers, and everybody, and they got donuts on strings and sticks right in front of them.
Oh, that's hilarious. See, but the thing, you have to be able to laugh at shit like that, because that's funny.
If you can't laugh at yourself, you just, you ain't living.
Yeah, definitely everybody jump over to Google, type in fishing for cops, hit images. That's a damn good picture.
It's pretty funny.
Like I said, I am.
Gee, that's just the picture I always called it was fishing for cops. I didn't know you could actually find it under that.
Yeah, that's all I typed in.
Like I say, I've had a few, just two, which I've talked about, so I'm not going to bore everybody with those stories again. I've had two bad experiences with police officers, but the rest of them's been actually. And I live in the South, in a rural area. Don't get me wrong, I don't live in frickin' Chicago or New York or something like that, so I'm sure there's no comparison, but in my experience, no problems. Not really. Even the bad experience, I've still never been took to jail. So, I mean, it wasn't that bad, They were just assholes, but, I drove away and that was it. Yeah. Didn't get a fucking ticket. They were just assholes.
I got lots of cop stories. I've been arrested a few times and all that. I've been to jail a few times, but I got lots of cop stories. But like the like when the one situation where I would say like this cop was out of line was when I got my DUI back home. You have the choice between going to something called ATSI, which is a 3-day, $75 a day, like almost like an AA type thing, where they keep you for 3 days in a hotel. They talk to a counselor and they tell you stories about people who have died in, alcohol-related car wrecks and so on. That's $75 a day. Or you can petition or ask the judge for jail time instead, which is 5 days, right? Well, I was able to get the 5 days because I had 2 weeks of vacation. I was able to put in for vacation time and all that, and they scheduled my, so I got paid to be in jail, which is consequently also when I found out that jail guards do not have a sense of humor. That's a whole other story. But what I was supposed to do was go to the sheriff's department and turn myself in. It was like 3 weeks later. I was supposed to go to the sheriff's department and turn myself in so they could take me to jail. I went in there, turned myself in. I didn't have anything on me. No, I normally have a pocket knife and all that. I knew better. So they handcuffed me, and I was like, is that really necessary? He was like, it's just procedure. He wasn't a dick about it or nothing like that. He handcuffed me, walked me over to the jail. The second the sheriff at the intake or whatever that took possession of me in the jail, the second he got his hands on me, bam, up against the wall I went, hand on the back of the head, smashing my face into the wall. And the other cop was like, he's here, I can't remember the wording, like his own recognizance or whatever. He turned himself in. He was scheduled to be here. He's not like, But and then the dude calmed down. He was like, all right, and he read the paper and he was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, the second he put his hands on me, bam, up against the wall, smashing my head into the wall and all that shit. I'm like, what the fuck did I do?
I've never really had a bad experience with the police. I went up to casino up in Mount Pleasant one time, and coming back through Shepherd, this little cop pulled me over, and the way he come up there, he had his sunglasses on, one of these old Broderick Crawford type cops, real young. I mean, the way he walked up there, hand on his gun and there, the whole smear. You was speeding coming through town? I said, no, sir. He said, you didn't stop for that stop sign? Which I didn't. I just did one of the Michigan rolling stops, that we call it around here. And if I check your record, am I going to say anything on it? I said, yeah, you'll probably see a speeding ticket about 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember when. Give me your license, registration, insurance, and all that crap. He come back, he says, well, sir, you didn't lie to me. He says, you just be careful next time and have a good day. Thank you. That's the only ticket I ever got out of. And I just knew he was going to nail me for that one. Just the attitude he had.
Well, like I said, I don't want to bring up the whole thing. I ain't going to spill out the whole story, but the worst experience I had was being surrounded by a platoon, I won't say army, but a platoon of cops. And I was standing on the sidewalk, but they never even asked me for my ID or asked me what my name was. They were assholes, don't get me wrong. They were complete assholes to me. But at the same time, my responses, and I was like, fuck it, I'm either going to go to jail or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen, but, I just kept my wits about me, and they never even asked me for my freaking ID. So, I mean, if that's my worst experience, I guess it wasn't too bad. Yeah.
The worst experience I ever had, this was many, well, not many moons, but probably at least 12 to 10 years ago. I was at a large venue at a large city, and it was probably within 5 years after 9/11, and I was drunk. I mean, I could barely stand. I was that drunk. Well, we're standing from one side of the river to get to the other one. You have to ride like a train or a trolley type deal. It's not quite a subway, but it's close. But you to get back across the river to where the parking was. And I was drunk, and there is a ton of people standing there, and I got a couple of my buddies with me, 2 other that were in law enforcement, and like a couple medics, EMTs, that type of deal. And I'm standing up against the wall, Dumbest thing ever. I mean, I should have never said what I said. But I like looked up and I looked back this way and I'm like, man, I'll tell you what, this would be a hell of a place to set a bomb off. Yeah, you don't say shit like that. Yeah, I see what Matt's doing, but dude, I was young, and I was super drunk. And I'll tell you, I freaking had probably within a matter of 30 seconds, I would bet, well, every single one of my friends left, every single one. I was like standing there by myself, and about 30 people, they were all plain clothes, every fucking one of them plain clothes. But I knew who they were. They fucking all around me, and they were all just staring at me. And I'm like, oh fuck, I'm going to jail because I said something stupid. And I'm just standing there, and they didn't ever identify themselves as cops, but I knew they were. And I was like, guys, I'm sorry, I'm drunk, and I was just running my mouth. I was like, I'm getting in my car with those guys over there. They're driving, and I'm out of here. And we got on the little train thing, and there was two in front of me. They never said one word to me, but they watched until I got in the car with my buddies, and then that was it. But oh my God, I'll tell you, my heart was going so fucking fast, and wow.
All right, so you guys will probably get a kick out of this. I'm sure there's several people in the chat room that will get a kick out of this. I mentioned when I found out, first of all, Blue, this is one of those situations where I go, I shouldn't have said that, dumbass. But just like you, not as bad as you. Had nothing to do with a bomb in a public place, which, Jesus, man. Yeah, this is one of those situations where after I said it, I'm like, God, that was dumb. So this is when I found out that jail guards don't have a sense of humor. I already explained to you that I had time to, put in for vacation because, I was doing that scheduled week in jail. And that ASSI that I chose to not do at $75 a day is 3 days long. So 4 days into my visit in Hancock County Jail, 4 days into my visit, this guard comes up and he says, "I'll bet you wish you would have taken ATSI right about now." I'm like, I got real confused. I'm like, why? And he says, "Well, you'd have been out yesterday, man." I said, "Dude, I'm making $15 an hour right now. What are you making?" Apparently, Hancock County jail guards do not make $15 an hour because he was pissed.
See, but there again, that's one of those situations where the people on the other side have to take a step back and not get pissed, but I don't seem mean to say congratulate you or anything, but yeah, that was a witty response. You didn't fucking hurt anybody, so I mean that's that shit that I would sit back and laugh at. I'll tell you one of the funniest things. We had this family, and all the time we were arresting them for everything all the time. Everybody from mom and dad down to the 15-year-old daughter. Well, the one day, 15-year-old daughter decides to run away, which she's done 9 billion times. So we find her where we always find her, take her down, wait for children and youth, and we have her down in a cell. And for some reason, I don't know what the hell, but somebody had a couple old bags and stuff sitting right in that general area. Well, this dumb bitch decided that she was going to fucking try to light the bags on fire. Well, she ended up getting an arson charge, so we took her to the central booking plant, and it was during shift change. So we had a new guy come in, one of the newer guys. He was younger, little guy. I mean, he's little. And he comes in, and she's just running her mouth like she always does. And he looks at her, and he's like, "You know what, you little bitch? You need to shut your mouth before I..." She looks at him, and she's like, "Before you do what, bacon bits?" I fucking lost it. I have never laughed so hard in my... And she was talking to the guy that was coming in to relieve me, but it was just so quick. And, oh, my Lord, that was the... So remember that one. If you have a little cop that, little Napoleon syndrome, remember the bacon bits.
Probably the dumbest
Well,
thing
if you're
ever.
in jail, it might not be a good thing to say, but it would be funny to say.
It's not like you're going to get in any more trouble for it.
Dumbest thing I ever said was in, I think it was 2004. We had to go to Chicago for a quality seminar, me and a couple girls in the department. And we got up there and got a little break, and they wanted to go to the top of the Sears Tower. I mean, this is right after 9/11. And they're taking our picture before you get on the elevator. They take your picture in front of this marquee or whatever it is there. Of course, me being the smart tail I am, sometimes I do say some stuff that ain't very politically correct. I said, what's the pictures for? To identify the bodies if this thing comes down? And they didn't find that funny at all.
Yeah, they don't have much of a sense of humor when it comes to certain things like that, do they?
Yeah, they didn't laugh a bit about that. Of course, me and the girls were laughing like crazy, but it's just one of them things that just kind of slid out.
I remember pissing on a pair of cops' handcuffs when he had me handcuffed. He wouldn't let me back in the house for good reason. I mean, he was there for aggravated menacing and unlawful discharge of a firearm. You know, so, I mean, I guess if I was a cop, I wouldn't let me back in my house that's full of guns either. But he just woke me up. It was like 2 in the morning. I was still half drunk, and you know, it's middle of winter in Ohio, by the way. And so what's the first thing you got to do when you're cold and just wake up? Yeah. I wasn't awake for 10 minutes. He's got me outside dragging me through the snow. And I'm like, hey, man, I got to piss. You know? He's like, too bad. You're going to have to hold it. I was like, can I go back in my house and, you know, take a leak? He's like, no. I'm not letting you back in there. And I was like, you can go with me. I don't care. You both of you can go with me. I got to piss. And we get to his car, and I'm like, dude, seriously, I got to go. I'm going to go now or in your car. And he grumbled and everything. He was like, all right, you can do it right here, right behind the car. It's 2 in the morning. Nobody's around, you know. So, again, I was half drunk, a lot younger, and I decided I'm going to piss all over this dude's handcuffs because he's got to put them back in his belt. I'm going to jail. They're gonna scrub me down anyway. I don't care about pissing all over my hands.
I don't see Blue laughing about that.
Oh no, no, because I wouldn't have let him back in his house either. But you know, I would have if a drunk person, number one, says they got to piss, let them piss, because like Matt said, they're either gonna piss or they're gonna piss in the car. Number two, if a drunk guy wants a fucking cigarette and you're just standing outside fucking doing nothing with their hands cuffed behind their back, give them a fucking cigarette. You know, it just makes my life so much easier, and they actually, I don't want to say appreciate it, but tell a drunk that he's not going to get a cigarette. You know, that really irritates him. I mean, it's such a small thing. Fuck it. Here's a cigarette.
Yeah, I could see that being true. I mean, you know, as long as everything's calm and all that, there's no reason to be an asshole. It's like, okay, you're going to jail, or you know, whatever. We're taking you in for questioning, whatever the case is. There's no reason to take it to the next level.
But unfortunately, there's way too many officers out there that want to belittle the drunk, and they think that the drunk isn't understanding what's going on. You know, that, I don't know. I always get those fuckers out of the way, because it's just, you know, a fight every now and again it's a good thing, but I'm not going to be the one that triggers it or allows somebody else to do it. You know, I mean, I don't know. That's where I differ from a lot of the guys, I guess.
What happened to the days where a cop would just take a drunk home? You know, it's like, okay, yeah, you're fucked up. You don't need to be driving. Get in the back. I'm gonna take you home.
Lawsuits.
Really?
No money.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's not the money part of it. It's that whenever you lose more money, because yeah, I mean, yeah, that used to happen a lot. And what would happen is let's say you stop the guy a mile or two, even 2 miles down the road, and he went home, and then he ended up beating the shit out of his girlfriend because he was drunk, and you had no idea this was going to happen. I mean, of course, you're just like, fuck it, I'm not arresting him, I'm just going to take him home. He beats the girlfriend or grabs a secondary car, goes out and crashes into somebody. You know, And you hate saying that people fucked it up for themselves, but you know, like everything else in life, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, what happened was freaking useless litigation. Uh, and I understand wanting to get people that are dangerous off the roads. Don't get me wrong. Trust me, I've been on the road a few times in my life that I should have been not, I hate to say take to jail, but I definitely should have been took off the fucking road. I shouldn't have been driving. I was way too drunk to be driving. That's happened a few times in my life. Luckily, I didn't hurt nobody or myself or anybody else, but I understand that. But, there is that, and I guess it depends on where you're from and what have you. Um, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but you know, you stop somebody from hurting herself or somebody else. Is it really a crime that they could hurt somebody? I don't want to really get off on that subject, but
I was going to bring that subject up if you didn't, so.
yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, there's people playing Pokemon driving down the road. Should I get penalized because I had 3 beers at the restaurant more than the guy playing Pokemon on his fucking phone, who's actually may be more dangerous on the road than me? There's that judgment call. There's no way to judge it. Who's more dangerous? Hell, I can drive stone cold. Well, let me take it back. I could drive drunk as shit and still drive better than a lot of people I see drive that are fucking sober. So.
Yeah, it's well, like you said. I mean, that's a wrestling match in my head with me and myself. I understand that people that are drunk or on drugs, it doesn't really matter. Any substance that alters your thought process and reaction time, they're dangerous on the road. But as you said, so are sober drivers. I mean, the vast majority of car wrecks that ever happen in the United States are sober drivers. They're just accidents. So, I mean, how far do you take? You could hurt somebody and make that a law, an arrestable offense, versus you did hurt somebody and make that an arrestable offense. I mean, if it's going to be against the law that you could hurt yourself or somebody else, then smoking would be an arrestable offense. Drinking would be an arrestable offense. Eating fats would be an arrestable offense. Just driving a car would be an arrestable offense. So it's a wrestling match for me of how far do you take you could reasonably hurt somebody versus you did hurt somebody and making them both arrestable offenses.
Isn't that what all gun laws are based on? What you could do with this weapon? They don't want us to have an AR-15 or AK-47 because you could, shoot, I ain't even going to get into the ridiculous numbers they use, but isn't it the same thing? You could kill somebody with this weapon. Well, a car's a weapon if you're impaired, and don't get me wrong, Blue, like I said, there's been a few times I shouldn't have been on the road, and somebody should have took me off the road. Whether it was arrest, pull me to the side, whatever the case may be, there were times I shouldn't have been on the road driving. I think we all been through that at one time or another in our life. But when you get into preemptive laws to protect others, where does the line stop?
No, exactly. Exactly. I mean, where do you draw that line? Yeah, and
with the DUI laws, I mean, here we're comparing, and here's the thing. With DUI laws, I'm sure that the National Traffic Safety Highway, whatever the hell they're called, Regulation Board, they've had stats out there for years and years and years and years and years, and that's where we get all these, and I'm not going to call them preemptive laws. They're laws because if you're sitting in your house drinking, who the fuck you hurting? Not a goddamn person, other than yourself, your liver, maybe your spouse if you're an abusive drunk. But once you get drinking and you take that onto the road, will you make it to your destination fine? Probably. Or could you wreck, or are you at a greater chance of harming other non-drunk drivers on the road? Yeah, definitely. So I think that's where the line is drawn, is where you take an action that is known to cause substantial loss to others by drinking and driving, and that's where they come up with that preemptive law, where they want to get you off the road before it happens. I don't know, I'm kind of on the other side as far as even like the drug offenses. Matt, if you're a fucking heroin addict, I don't care. Stay in your house, do it. Don't come outside. Don't rob your neighbor. Don't steal shit. Don't drive your car. If you're in your house doing it, who gives a shit? It's whenever you come out into society, and this is where, I don't know, there is no such good thing as a heroin addict as far as I'm concerned, because if you get into heroin, you lose your life savings relatively quickly, and then you get into the life of theft, you get into the life of all that other stuff. But you see what I mean? If there was a way for you to substantiate your habit by yourself and not involve anybody else, steal, anything like that, who are you hurting other than yourself? Have fun.
No, I don't disagree with that. And don't get me, when I said about drugs and alcohol while driving, no, that was just mind-altering substances of any sort. I understand that puts you at a greater risk on the road. Yeah, I mean, if you want to get high, you want to do a bunch of coke, you want to do heroin, if you do heroin, don't fucking talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
You're a piece of shit, in my opinion. But that's just, that's, but if you want to do it, it's your right to do it. Yeah, I've always told, like, friends of mine that do drugs, it's like, I don't care what you do, the second you stick a needle in your arm, I'm putting you in the hospital. That's all there is to it. I understand what you're saying about that it's reasonable that a person that's drunk or on drugs has a higher potential to hurt somebody on the road. But like TR said in his words, and I agree with him, where do you draw the line of pre-crime versus actual crime?
I think a lot of that is in your different state statutes. Like, if you get arrested for a DUI first offense, 9 times, I don't know how it is in every state, but at least in ours, as long as you're not slobbering drunk, you're going to get away relatively easy. You're going to get the fine, you're going to get all that shit. If you hit somebody, you might as well kiss your ass goodbye while drunk, because that's a bad one. But I see you shaking your head, so obviously the first one didn't go well for you.
The only one, and I passed the breathalyzer. At the time, Ohio was still 0.1, and I passed the breathalyzer with a 0.9, with 0.089, something like that, 0.08 something. I passed the field sobriety test. Motherfucker still arrested me. Took me to the police station and tested me an hour later. I blew a 0.99 something or another, which is still legally under the limit, and I still got a ticket for it. I still got fined for it. I still got...
Your attorney sucked. You should have never have needed an attorney, in my book. The first breath test is just a preliminary thing. I mean, they're off by such a gauge, but once they took you to the station, if they gave you another one, and by the sounds of it, that's what you ended up getting charged on, was that one, that had to have been a legal blood sample, or breath sample. If they used a legal breath sample and you're under the legal limit and they still charged you, for one, it should have never happened, and for two, either you didn't have an attorney or they sucked.
I had an attorney. He got it down to reckless operation, which, knowing now, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have taken the DUI over the reckless op. But my insurance went up higher because of the reckless op versus the DUI, and a few other things. It was actually worse. But yeah, I mean, it's. I was in shock. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I passed all your tests and you're still arresting me?" But to be fair, and anybody who's ever heard stories about Findlay, Ohio, or Hancock County, you could have a dead, murdered hooker in the back of your car with a pile of cocaine on the floorboard,
Just
and
don't
if you're
drive
drunk, they're going to get you for the DUI.
Yeah. Well, it's because if the DUI stick, I mean, that I think it's pretty universal between all states. DUI fines are, ching ching. I mean, those are big money. So, I mean, that's said a lot even in our county. You can get away with murder, but don't drive down the road drunk. But that's not as true.
And see, that's another problem with the whole process. Like in this state, hell, even a speeding ticket, you will pay for several years when your insurance goes up. Part of your insurance goes to the state. So when they write a ticket, not only do they get the fine, the state, no matter where it's at in the state, what county, the state will get a percentage of that money for 2 to 4 years or whatever it is. And especially with the DUI, when you pay the SR22 insurance is what they call it here. I don't know what they call it anywhere else. That's not only the upfront fee, but they get a fee for several years after that. It is a money-making business. I'm not saying you shouldn't get people off the road that don't need to be on the road. Don't get me wrong. But when you made it a business, and I'm not saying you, Blue, I'm just saying the legislators, when they made it a business that writing tickets and DUIs became a money-making ordeal, that's where it became corrupt and fucked up.
Oh yeah, we have everybody here knows that I'm in the state of PA. One of my favorite things was, if I write somebody for speeding, they take a hearing on it. I have a chance to review their driver record. It's their first offense in 30 years, whatever. We always had this option that instead of writing them for the actual speed offense, which is points, which is higher insurance, all that stuff, it was a section called obedience to traffic control devices. Basically, it's just that you didn't obey whatever the device was, whether it be a red light, stop sign, speed limit. The fine was less. It was not considered a moving violation as to where there would be points added onto your driver's license, and most insurance companies wouldn't hold it as a violation as to where they'd increase your premiums. However, legislation quickly caught on that most police officers were writing this offense as plea deals for certain individuals. So what did they end up doing? They took this nice little section that we had cut people breaks if they deserved it, and they made it from a $25 fine. They increased the fine to $150. 125 of those dollars were to be sent to this, I think it was to Philadelphia, for their traffic, whatever the hell. I'd have to look at the section to be sure. But it says right in it, out of this, the fine is only 25. 125 of this is considered, I don't remember the wording they used, but it is to go to fund a state project. I never wrote it again. I don't write tickets this is a double-edged sword. I already know that whenever I write a ticket, some of the money goes back to the municipality I work for, some of it goes back to the state, some of it goes for different programs. So yeah, it is generating revenue, not for me by any means, but it's standard across the board, and everybody kind of understands that. Is it wrong? Yes or no? Who cares? But this section literally says, we're using this section to fund a certain project. And I was like, fuck you. You are not using any of it for me, and I think mostly everybody quit writing that section. And if you, I don't know, Matt, you kind of look like you're doing a internet search. Maybe you're looking at porn.
Well, good for you, Blue. I mean, we've talked about this, and you talked about this, I think, on one of the last chats I was on with you, where you gave a little bit of leeway and stuff like that. But once you pass that, if I'm doing 60 and a 45 and you pull me over, hey, you got me. I can't deny it. I know I was doing 60, whatever. Just don't pull me over for doing 46 or 47 and a 45. then I kind of get pissed off about
Mhm.
that. You know? So I don't think anybody has a problem with a little bit of police action on the street to keep things to, you know, a certain safety level. You know, even the presence of a police car on the road kind of slows everybody down, and that's fine. Whether he writes a ticket or pulls anybody over or not, it has that effect, and that can keep us a little bit safer. You know, and if somebody's fucking barreling down, hauling ass, passing everybody, weaving out of traffic, pull that son of a bitch over because he's endangering my life. I have no problem with that. You know. And
No,
just gonna
I wasn't looking something up, Blue. There was actually something you said at the beginning of that made me want to ask you a question, and I can't remember what it is now. And so I got
God.
lost in the shine off your head.
I'm trying to look up that section because I mean it spells it right out that, and if anybody out in the chat room or anybody else wants to take a look at it, just in case I feel I don't want to read it, it's under, just look up vehicle or Pennsylvania vehicle code. The section's 3111, obedience to traffic control devices, and they just completely screwed that up.
I remember what it was. It had nothing to do with what you said. It was something I wanted to ask you. I had a lawyer tell me a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, told me that a person should fight every ticket, no matter if it's a speeding ticket, no matter if it's a DUI ticket, no matter what the ticket is, everybody should fight every ticket that they get. And I said, you know, why? You know, how do you figure that? And this is a lawyer that was telling me this. He said because when he actually said, he goes, the dumber the ticket, the more you should fight it. I said, why is that? He says, because first and foremost, especially if you're in an area with a high volume of tickets, he said, that cop's got to show up for court. He's got to take time off work. He's got to he's got to sit through the process and all that. He said a lot of them won't, and they just don't. He said a lot of them forget because they got other stuff going on with their job. He said, I don't know how many people I've represented that were guilty as all get out, doing like 150 mile an hour zone, but the cop didn't show up for the court date, so they were completely off.
Mm-hmm.
He said, fight every speeding ticket. He said they're going to tear apart the ticket, where the location was, how many feet you were away from whatever. You know, they got to prove the speed. They got to prove that the radar or laser gun or whatever it is was calibrated properly at the certain time and certain date from that date. And I was like, damn. He's like, yeah, fight every ticket. He said, he goes, the day or two you have to take off work for it is less money you're losing than your higher insurance rates, possibly losing your license and so on.
Mm. Part of that's true, part of it's not. You know, a lot of areas have it that if you, as the officer, miss court, you get suspended. If you do this, you get suspended. You know, whatever. But it has happened to where I've had court and they schedule me for a training session, and you know, for whatever reason, nobody took care of the court part. Nobody continued it for me. So therefore, I didn't show up to the court hearing. Automatically, the person, if the cop doesn't show up, should be found not guilty because it's my word versus your word, basically. And I'm not able to present any evidence or any of that. So yeah, but yeah, that's so far and few in between that it's. There again, I'm talking about I only know like my local area as well as the surrounding, but yeah, and you also hate saying it, but you want to, if everybody wants to keep taking hearings on me, good, that's all overtime. That's overtime pay for me to come in for 20 minutes with papers that I already have a pre-planned speech up. Here's my paperwork that shows that everything was calibrated. Here's where I was at. Here's the day it happened. There's a guy doing the driving, and that's the testimony. There's nothing. There's no rocket science between it or behind it.
I don't know how it works where you're at, Blue, but getting a little bit back of what Matt was saying, and I've never had speeding ticket ever. But everybody that I've talked to that has had a speeding ticket, if they do show up for court, usually just to cut it short, and this is just my area, don't get me wrong, it's my area. If they show up for court for the ticket, usually they'll cut it in half. You'll still get a ticket, a fine, a couple points against your license or something like that, but they'll almost always cut it in half just to not have to go see the judge. It was like, look, if you instead of it being a $100 fine, we'll make it $50. Instead of 4 points, we'll make it 2 points, and we can walk away. All you gotta do is show up. I ain't saying that'll happen every time, but a lot of times, from what I understand from the people that I do know that has had speeding tickets, if you just show up, they'll cut it in half. You admit guilt, they cut you some slack, and you walk out the door. That's just the way it works around here.
Well, and yeah, I'm sure it's different in every jurisdiction because, you know, we call them up-ears. The people from Pittsburgh, they always, apparently in Allegheny County, the magistrates they fix tickets. They just, oh, well, you know, I do believe you were going 100 and the 55, but I'm gonna reduce it down to 60. And I guess they do that all the time, which I guess is also highly illegal for a judge to do that because they're supposed to base their judgment on the facts. But yeah, up in our area, yeah, that doesn't really work. And I hate saying this. Do people deserve breaks? Yeah, absolutely they do. But within the last 3 years, I've gotten myself into a habit of if I write somebody a ticket and they take a hearing, we're just going to move forward with what the speed is that I wrote. And the reason for that is, and of course this is, people in general have fucked this up because guess what? You show up for court and you might know somebody. So, hey, you know, hey, can you cut this guy a break whenever he comes in for court? All right, yeah, I'll reduce it. Well, now the next hearing is somebody else, same exact thing. It doesn't get reduced. They get found guilty. They find out that I just reduced the one right prior to that. And it's an ethics thing. And once you turn that corner on ethics, there's no coming back. And that's, me personally, that's the way I do it. And actually, just Thursday, I was doing a speed detail. And God, I hate talking about work, but this is just this ethic thing that I'm talking about. Doing a speed detail, and I set off anything 64 or above in this speed zone was automatically getting a ticket. Like, second person I pulled over, gave a ticket to, was a younger girl. Pulled her over, no big deal. Went back, sat in my spot. Like, one of the last people I pulled over was 73 miles an hour. He was on a motorcycle. He was going way too damn fast. I still say he was trying to lose me, but you know, I didn't have the proof of that. But I'm sitting there, and he's like, he was a state corrections officer. I've known him for quite a while. He's lived in our area. And I was like, dude, look. He's like, oh no. He's like, you know, do you believe in professional courtesy? You know, is there anything you can do on this? I'm like, dude, I've been writing people for 64 all day. You're at 73, plus you were going a hell of a lot faster after I got you. I was like, man, no, I can't cut you a break on this. I was like, I set out today, this is what it was, and this is what it is. I shit you not, 2 minutes later, I didn't realize this, but the girl that I stopped is the niece of this guy who lives right along the road that I'm running the speed on. Well, her dad wanted to come talk to me and said, you know, just to, you know, hey, my daughter got pulled over, this and that. But it's the guy, her dad is the guy in the motorcycle's brother. And they're there talking. How bad would that have looked if I would have let that son of a bitch go for, I don't mean to call him a son of a bitch, I mean, he's a nice guy. But how bad would it have looked if I would have let him go for that high of a speed and wrote his daughter, and then he's sitting there whenever that happened? You know, I mean, that's...
I don't know if you remember or if you saw it or not, Blue. It might have been a year or two ago. Not necessarily similar, but there was I don't know where it was at. You know, a bigger state, bigger city, whatever. They were doing, you know, okay, we're going to do a radar, you know, not speed trap. I shouldn't say speed trap. Sometimes it is, but anyway. And they were running and doing tickets, and they had wrote several people tickets. like I said, I want to say it was in California, but I could be wrong. And they were some unmarked cars. I don't know what speed they were going, but they were going excessively fast. And so the policeman, turned. I don't even think they pulled them over. I think they were radioing in, and I know I'm messing this story up, but this is the gist of it. They were radioing in that, hey, we got, like a whole bunch of cars, like, 3 to 5 cars are exceeding the speed limit, whatever. And somehow it got relayed back to them that it was other police officers going to some training or whatever. And the reason this made headlines and news is since they ended up letting them go, they didn't even chase them down or anything. Since they let them go, every ticket they wrote that day, they threw out. They're like, if we can't, the police themselves actually said, if we can't write these guys a ticket, we can't write anybody a ticket. And they threw out every ticket they had wrote that day and stopped.
I completely agree. I completely agree with that statement. The only time any officer is allowed to go above the law or go above the speed limit is if they have those lights and siren going. And if they're not going, we're not going to start a war between jurisdictions. But however, I'm sure this place in California was probably at least a 2 to 4 lane highway, and these cops are blowing by everybody. So everybody's like, well, shit, if that guy's going that fast, I'm going to bump it up, 10 over. I'm not going to be going 30 over like they're going, but I'm going to go 10 over. Yeah.
Oh, and you see it all the time. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of cops that, if I'm like, it's 65 mile an hour on I-10 right by where I'm at. It changes to 70 just up the road, but I couldn't tell you how many times I'm doing 65, 70 mile an hour, and a cop blows by me without lights or sirens going. Like I'm standing still. We're even in traffic. And people are always like, well, maybe he's on a call. No.
Mm-hmm.
He very well could be, but he should have his lights and sirens on if he's doing that.
Right.
And then a place I used to live in Ohio had a one-way alley behind the house, and it was faster for cops to get back to the station at shift change to go the wrong way down that alley to hit one of the side roads to go to get to the police station. I lived like 3 blocks from the police station. It was faster for them to hit that one-way alley the wrong way to get back to the police station than it was for them to go around like a 3-block area or something like that. And it's like every night I'd sit there and watch them. Wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. It's like every motherfucking one of you.
And that's why people get pissed at the police, and it's understandable. I'm like, there's the chief in my department, and then there's me. I will jump every one of them sons of bitches if they do like the coast through the stop signs. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You just wrote 4 tickets for that exact same fucking thing last week, and I just watched you do it 4 times. And I'll jump their shit, and I've actually told a couple of them to where it's become a problem. I mean, all the time. I was like, the next fucking time I see you doing it, I don't care if you're in one of our fucking cruisers, I'm writing you a ticket. And that seems to curtail it for a good couple months, and then it starts creeping back up. But you can't. How the hell can you do that? I mean, have I sped in a police car before while responding to a call without lights on? Yeah, disabled vehicles. That is not a lights and siren, get there, blow people off the road. But if it's a 4-lane road, you a little bit fast, but nothing over the hill. But man, that's what pisses people off, is seeing that shit, and then they get a ticket for it the next day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably
go ahead, Don.
Go ahead, DR. I'm going to probably jinx myself, but I get a ticket every 2 years. I swear the DMV's got my name on record, and they send it to every cop, police in the state to watch out for this guy. But you was talking about, Matt was talking about beating it, and about 6 years ago, I got pulled over, and going down Sheldon Road here, and granted, it's the fines are doubled in a construction and a school zone. Well, I didn't see this hour sign on the school zone, so he got me for double. And I didn't want to miss work because it was going to take me, cost me more than $100 to miss work. So I just wrote a letter into the courts and told them exactly. And the next day I went back to verify. You could see the growth over the sign where you really couldn't see it from the trees and stuff. And I put that in my letter, and they reduced it, and they gave me the 2 points, but it only cost me $100 instead of $200. And then 2 years ago, when I got my last ticket, Michigan's got this thing going now. So I've got, at that time, 2 years ago, I had like 4 points on my record because I'm bad about speeding. And cop pulled me over. I got the ticket. I see it was going to be $150. This is great. Well, I got a letter from the state that if I took this online class or go to one of the DMVs and take this class, it's like a 4-hour class. So I chose to take it online. It cost me $99. They don't give you points. They don't report to the insurance, nothing. It's a one-time deal. So that's something new. I didn't even know about that until I got the letter from them.
Yeah, I feel you on the whole speeding thing. From the time I was 16 to 21, I had my license for 6 months. I would get it back, and I would lose it like in a week. And then I would get it back, and I would lose it in like a month. Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe that was 16 to 18. Yeah, I think it was 16 to 18. I only had my license for 6 months, but then I've lost it several times. But I haven't lost my license in a long time now, just because I'm too freaking broke to pay those fines. But Chris D, what I wanted to bring up was Chris DIYer asked about recording traffic stops. And I record every official encounter with a cop as long as I'm able to without getting shot. And I say that because sometimes you're going to reach for your phone, you put yourself in a position where you're going to get shot. Yeah, if I feel safe going for my phone to record the encounter, I record every official police encounter I encounter. And it's not with the phone right here in their face, because that just pisses them off and it makes this whole situation worse. But any of you guys who are friends with me on Facebook, you've seen my Facebook videos that I do almost 3, 4 times, maybe sometimes even 5 times in a week. But I have the mount that's on my dash, and if I can, I'll get my phone up in there if it's not already up in there, and at least hit record to where it can see me. If I have time, I'll move it to where it can see out the window too. And if nothing else, it's getting audio. But I record every official encounter I have with cops.
9 times out of 10, we're recording you, so you might as well record us.
I had one cop tell me I had one cop tell me you can't do that.
No kidding.
Shut up. You know I can. You're just being a dick. Now, the one time I was just recording audio, and so there's, like, my phone now, all notification sounds go silent automatically if I'm using the video function on the phone. But this older phone I had didn't have that option, and my ringtone, my text message ringtone used to be a machine gun sound. So I'm at a protest, and I'm sure I could find somebody that still has the recording, because they were recording with their phone, because the cop came up to me, identified me as the guy that was, like, heading it up, even though I wasn't, but it was like I was the one with the megaphone. Everybody was rallying around me. I don't know if it was just because I was the loudest or the smartest, but either way. So he came up, he's talking to me, and I'm armed, by the way, and I got my phone like this. I mean, it's kind of, almost have like my arms crossed, because cops will come up to you and they'll talk to you with their arms crossed, and they do that to keep space between you and them. And so when they come up to talk to me, I cross my arms as well. It's like, see, I could look like a douchebag too. But so I'm sitting there like this, and I got my phone just like this, recording audio, and you see it in the video that somebody else is taking. You hear the and you see my pad just kind of like, oh, fuck, this is not good. And the cop kind of stops and he looks at me. I was like, man, it's just my ring phone. Sorry about that. You know, my ringtone. Sorry about that. He was trying to tell me I couldn't use a megaphone, and I was telling him what the municipal code was, what the city code was, because he was a city cop and should have known this, that during daylight hours, that as long as you're speaking to a crowd, you can use amplified audio, or however it's worded.
But what if you're just talking to the people in your head? I mean, there's still a crowd there.
Right. Yeah.
I just had somebody ask me an interesting question, and I already put the response out in the chat room, but something about our body cams and everything else for facial recognition. You know, if you guys haven't uploaded a video or a photo to Facebook recently with like more than 3 people in it, do it. Because you upload a picture, like if you have, like, say me, TR, Matt, and Don are all friends on Facebook, and we're all together, and I take a picture and I put that up on Facebook, it instantly comes up and says, would you like to tag Don, Matt, and TR in this photo? I mean, that's facial recognition's out there, so it's, and even if we don't have facial recognition, all we have to do is take a picture or a screenshot, send it to the FBI or whoever has that program, and you know, it'll find out who it is pretty quick. I mean, it's everywhere.
Well, you guys know I don't hide on the internet. I mean, people know my full name. Some people probably even my middle name. You know, at least the city I live in and cities I've lived in. I mean, it's not hard. Well, the reason I'm saying this is Mindy said I will not post my face on Facebook. That was over for me a long time ago. I used to be the same way. No. That was over for me a long time ago. I realized a long time ago that if you want to have a successful YouTube channel, you cannot be anonymous on social media.
Oop. Sorry. I was typing. Yeah, as far as being it's too late. It was too late years ago for me. I've talked to people about that. It's like, you know, if you're going to try to stay under the radar or whatever, once you go on camera, hell, once you start even posting crap on Facebook, technically, whether you show your face or not, they got your IP address. They know who you are. I mean, if somebody really wanted to know, I mean, not necessarily somebody, but as far as government, they know where that come from. They know who you are. So what the hell? Throw it out there. Be a freak. And okay, since I'm talking, change the subject just for a second. Comms Prepper, I'm going to build me another antenna. I'm planning on building a multi-dipole antenna. I have now, what is it called? The 5GRV antenna, whatever. You know, it's 102 foot long. I made it myself, but I'm going to make another one, and I got to move it. So right now I have not used my radio to talk yet. I have made my first contact. I was at a friend of mine's house. His dad's a big ham guy. And I made my first contact with a guy in Louisiana. He was just doing like a call-in kind of thing. But I'm working on getting my other antenna made and putting it up, and yeah, I'm gonna make a one that'll do 40 meters easily. So that being said, I'll change the subject. We can go back to talking about laws or whatever. That was just too much to say, and
Blue's
and
he's tired of talking about cops. I don't blame him.
I got a question for you, Matt. If we're going to change the subject a little bit, what's the name of those Korean mags that you got?
KCI.
KCI?
Yep, three initials, KCI. And I don't remember what it stands for. I think the K stands for Korean, but you can get Glock mags, AK mags. I think you can get AR mags. I'm not sure, but they do a handful of different magazines.
Well, they had some at the gun show today, and I was going to text you, and I got to thinking, well, no, you're behind us. You might still be in bed. So I text TR, and he said that's ones he had, and I wasn't sure if that's the same. They had some SGM, SG something. They're a Korean mag, and they had the steel liners in it for the joystick or happy stick, whatever you want to call it, the 33 rounder for $19.99. I didn't buy one because I wasn't sure of the name. Once TR said, because I know there's one Korean mag out there that ain't worth crap.
I don't know about that one, but KCI, any KCI mag I've ever had has been a good mag. And when I say any KCI, I mean I have AK KCI mags and I have Glock KCI mags, and they've always run just fine.
Well, I remember you doing a test on them and stuff here. What was it, last year, whenever it was, and SGM, I think's the name of these, and they're Korean mag, and I know there's one Korean mag that I've heard some bad things about. I ain't gonna throw $20 out. If they got them next show, maybe I'll pick one up. I don't know.
yeah, the KCI, those are good mags. Like what Matt said, yeah, KCI. And I think I've seen those. If you catch them on sale, I've seen those 33 rounders. I'm not saying you're going to catch them every time, but I've seen them sell those 33 rounders for like $10. Now, of course, you got to pay shipping and handling and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very happy with the KCI ones.
Yeah, you can occasionally find them for cheap. Henry 42 asked me if I'm still liking the Amend 2 AK or AR mags. He's been buying the Lancer ones. At $7.95 a piece, dude, I love those fucking magazines. They are the only polymer AR mag I will buy. I will never buy another Magpul piece of junk. It's, for me, if I'm going to go with a metal mag, it's D&H. If I'm going to go with a polymer mag, it's a Men 2. I'm not saying there's not any other good ones out there, but that's, for me, those are the only two I'll buy.
Yeah, they got another show here in September. If they still got them, I might pick one up, just give it a whirl. I just wasn't sure. I knew that it was initialed, but I wasn't sure what it was. And that SGM just somehow, it just rang a bell that's the one you did the test on. And then I texted TR, and he said he had KCI, and we thought that was the one that you had too.
Yeah, KCI. I don't have any sitting right here, but yeah,
KCI. Yeah, the KCI, that's the, I mean, I got Glock and KCI, and, I mean, I wouldn't even, based on what I've used these magazines, I wouldn't, even for the same money, I'll buy one of these Korean mags before I would a Magpul. The damn things just work. I like the window, not that I really use it, but I like the fact that it's a exact duplicate of the Glock magazine.
The KCI has the steel liners on them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you cannot, unless you flip it around and look at it and look for the Glock name, you would never know it wasn't a Glock. There's the KCI, there's a Glock. I mean, it's the same freaking magazine.
Well, the Magpul I got, they're good mags. I mean, other than that little bit of alignment that in that one video I put, which don't hurt the function of the gun or nothing, but I have to have the markers when I shoot IDP, which I haven't been able to do this year because You're only allowed 10 rounds in your gun, and sometimes you lose count when you're talking to somebody and loading it. This way you got a quick reference of
Well,
how many rounds you got.
the Magpul Glock mag, while in my video I did say it's the only Magpul product that has ever impressed me. Stand by that. It is the Magpul Glock mags are the only Magpul product that has ever impressed me. I think Magpul is one of the most overrated junk parts on the market. With that being said, I won't buy any more. If I buy any more Glock mags, it'll be KCI or Glock.
Yeah, I've only got 2 of the all my AR mags, except I got 1 military mag and 1 Lancer mag. All mine's are Magpul. I've never had a problem with them, but I've never put them through torture tests or anything either.
As far as the Glock mags, man, I'm telling you, Don, I don't think you'd be disappointed. I don't know about the other Korean manufacturers, but I do know the KCI. And unless you look at it really hard and try to find the Glock symbol on it, you will not know the difference. It is the same freaking magazine. Matt did mention in the ones he had when he did a +2 adapter to it that, maybe the spring's a little weaker, but if you just leave it stock, a 17 round, 15 round, whatever you buy, it'll perform. You will not know the difference between the factory mag or the KCI. That's just my experience so far.
I thought my experience with it, because yeah, you're right. I took my KCI 15 round mags and I put the +2 extension on them. The Belgian or Belgian copy of the Pierce mag extenders. And yes, it occasionally has a problem holding the slide open. However, and I thought it was specific to those Korean mags. I've talked to 3 people who have put the +2s in their Glock mags, and they said they had the same problem. So,
got to be a weak spring then.
I think it's just a short spring.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just a short spring, and that if you were to put a Glock 17 spring into the Glock 19 body with the +2 on it, you probably wouldn't have that problem. My point is, it's not a Korean mag specific problem. From what I've been told, it's a problem all the time. So, as far as I'm concerned, because that was my only hang-up. It's not holding it's not holding the slide back with the +2 in it. But now that I know Glocks don't do that, the Glock mags do, have the same issue, or at least potentially the same issue. As far as I'm concerned, they're equal. One's just half the price as the other.
Yeah, the Magpul mags, I just use them for range work anyway, so they work all right.
Well, if you get a hold, like I said, I can't speak for the other manufacturers, but I do know the KCI. If you get a hold of one of those, you will see the quality is actually just as good as the Glock mags. I mean, I have to literally, look for the Glocks. I cannot tell the difference. They're the same freaking magazine, and they work great.
Yeah, when I get around to buying 2 more mags for my rifle, I'll probably do some sort of a small giveaway on my channel for 2 Magpul AR mags, because I don't want them. I don't like them. I want them out of my house. I don't want them in my plate carrier. I don't want them in my rifle. I don't want them. I don't like them. If nobody wins them, they will be taken out to the range and shot so nobody else can use them, or so I can't accidentally get screwed by them.
What's your biggest fault with them, Matt? If I may ask.
I've never had an issue with them.
Okay, first of all, the polymer is garbage. They're weak. They break. You can't. If you compare them to, say, the Tapco 30-round magazine, they're half as thick. They're flimsy. They have problems seating with a full 30 rounds in it. To top off the fact that they have a problem seating with full 30 rounds, Some of them you can even put 31 rounds in it, which make it even harder to seat. And they're twice as expensive as they should be. I mean, I realize you can find them on sale and all that other stuff. Don't get me wrong. But the standard price when you go to a gun shop and buy one of these, they're twice as much as they should be. Like I said, they're some of the most overrated. This is the most overrated product on the market is anything Magpul makes. $80 for a plastic flip-up sight? Are you kidding me? You know, yeah, I don't like Magpul at all. See that? Oh, there we go. It finally went in. There's a Men 2 magazines that Henry asked me about earlier. I can just go like this on a closed bolt for the full 30 rounds, and it'll lock in. There is absolutely no reason that I have to hit the bottom of that magazine in order for it to seat. None.
Tool Monkey out there in the comments, I actually work with him. We work at the same plant, and he made a good point. I've never had a problem with a Magpul magazine for my AR-15, but me and him, we work in injection molding. That's how that magazine's made. It will degrade over time. I'm not a plastic fan. I mean, I work in plastics. That's one thing I like about the Glock magazines and the Korean Glock magazines, because they have a metal liner in them. And it's relying on that metal, not necessarily the plastic. Because I've actually shot a 1911 that was over 100 years old. It was actually made in 1912.
Hold that KC mag up, or turn it around where I can see the front of it, TR. The KCI mag you got.
Well, it's loaded, but that's the KCI mag.
Now flip it 90 degrees. Flip it 90 degrees. I want to see where the mag release goes. Is it for a Gen 4 for the reverse?
No, it's not.
In it?
No,
Yeah.
it does. That is one difference. It does not have the ambidextrous slot in it.
See, that
This
won't
is
work.
a Glock.
That won't work for me.
This is the KCI.
The
That
KCI
is
is
one
right
difference. Well, you know what? Let me take that back. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It don't have. It's not on both sides.
Okay, that won't work for me then, because my slide release is on the right-hand side of the Glock.
Yeah, that is the downfall of the KCIs. They're no good for Gen 4s. I'm sure they'll eventually come out with it, but
Yeah.
Not that anybody's going to live 100 years to shoot their gun from now. But being that I work with plastics, trust me, plastics break down. I don't care if you have it in a dark and a cold place or a cool place. I don't care what kind of plastic it is. It's going to degrade. It really is. I'm not really worried about it with a gun, the Glock or whatever. But there is, if anybody's dealt with a polymer Magpul magazine for the AR-15, those feed lips are really thin, and I kind of wonder how they're going to be in 20 years from now. It does concern me. I only have like 2 or 3 Magpul. The rest of mine are all GI mags. Because I do know that plastic will break down, and I wonder, like I said, 20 years from now, do I really give a shit? I don't know. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But I do know plastic breaks down. It will become brittle. It will fail. So there is some issues there.
if it gets cold, it gets weaker. It gets more brittle. If it gets too hot, it gets, it can get deformed and fucked up. That's why I'll never, ever, 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 for the life of me, understand why somebody buys an all polymer AR. You know, these ones that are polymer uppers and lowers. I'll never get that ever. It's like, are you just setting your? I mean, you like failing? I mean, you must live in the perfect temperate climate ever, and not shoot it.
Yeah, just AR lowers and uppers are so cheap. Why would you want to go any cheaper? I mean, shit.
See, I am unfortunately one of the people that have the polymer lower and upper, because at the time that was the cheapest, so that's what I got. And I've never had an issue with it, ever, ever, ever. And I've seen the stories, I've seen the videos where, shit cracks, shit does this, and this happens, but I have never had a problem. As soon as I get the funds, absolutely, I'm going for all metal, just because eyes have been opened over the past year and a half. But it's not bad, but yeah, definitely,
It's an overtime thing. And that being said, I mean, hell, I own a Glock. Don't get me wrong, but the way they made it with the metal, the metal parts integrated into the frame, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure that I don't think this gun will 100 years from now, it'll probably fall apart. Maybe not, but it may. But it has a lot of metal liners. The slide actually has metal liners that the slide rides on and stuff like that. So they made provisions for wear and tear in the weaknesses of the polymer. The problem with AR, polymer upper and lower, I don't know which one you have, but they don't. And it may work fine for 20, 30, 40 years. And after that, you probably don't give a shit, But if I was you, I'd sell it and get another one. So you can hand it down to your kids.
Yeah, the AR, I mean, that's one of those things, like I said, at the time, it saved me a couple $100. That's why I went with it. But now there's no doubt the next one that I end up getting, unless I actually get the balls to, I don't want to say make my own, but put my own together, it's going to be all metal. I mean, it's just, would I do to my AR what you've done to yours? Just walking through the woods and throw it up against a tree? There ain't no fucking way. And it's because of that fear that it could happen, I mean, and it very well could, and I'm just not going to do it. And but yeah, the metal ones, without a doubt, yeah, that's the way to go.
Well, Tool Monkey, like I say, my buddy out there, most guns, like the polymer and stuff, they're glass filled. It's a glass filled plastic, and it will last a long time. Don't get me wrong. It's not, the milk jug or gas can you got or whatever. I mean, it's a different type of plastic. Glass filled is the best plastic. It's very strong. I mean, it's like concrete. The glass in the plastic is like rebar. It makes it very strong, and it'll make it last a long time, but it's still, there's still going to be the limitations to it. So, like I said, I got a Glock. Hell, I even got a Caltech here. I don't make too much noise. I got a Caltech, that's a polymer gun. I'm not anti-plastic gun.
I almost bought one of them
guns that have plastic in them. I'm just, there are limitations, and I understand that.
Well, to be fair, when I can't remember who it was anymore, I think it was Winging It Tracy said, but Glocks are plastic or polymer. Yeah, if they had a polymer slide, I wouldn't have bought one. I just wouldn't have. But anyway, that Keltec, I almost bought one of those. How do you like it? Keltec's one of them manufacturers where you have like 50-50 horror stories.
It's a 50-50 gun. Everything I've read and seen about them, they're 50-50. Luckily, I got one that works. And that's why I never recommend it. I never tell anybody to buy one because half the time you hear about them being a damn Jam-O-Matic. Luckily, this one feeds, hollow points, full metal jacket, whatever. But there again, if you buy one, it may be 50-50. It may work, it may not. This one works, so I'm happy with it. But I will never recommend it to anybody because the next person that buys one, some bitch may not work at all.
That looks almost identical to my Sky CPX2. Almost identical.
They are close. I was looking at some Skies at the gun show today. They had them with an orange frame, purple frame, blue frame. Last I knew, they was black and a desert tan. They got them.
The
That orange
original,
one actually looked pretty cute, though.
the original two are black and black with a silver slide or gray
Right.
slide. And then they started coming out with all the colors. And there's 50-50 there. And with personal experience, 50-50. I had an all black one. It was the first one I had. And, man, I never had a problem with it. Not one hiccup. Shot great. Everything had a holster for it. Blah, blah, blah. Carried it every day. Sold it to buy my Glock. I missed it so much I went out and bought another one. So this time I bought the duotone one, the black, the black frame with the silver slide. And nothing but problems. It's got extractor issues. The cases get stuck in the chamber sometimes. I got to send it in, and anybody who's been watching me for any amount of time knows I've been saying that for like 3 years, that I got to send it in. I haven't done so, but yeah, there's a 50-50 right there. However, I can't say I wouldn't suggest somebody buy one. And I say that because of everybody I know that has owned one or currently owns one. I'm the only one who's had any problems.
I tell you, the only problem I've had with this Caltech is, it shoots great. I have yet to have not one malfunction. But the one problem it has is the ejection port, I guess, is so small, I have a hard time unloading it. If I try to extract the round that's in the chamber right now, it'll jam up. The shell will not come out. About the only way to really unload it is to pull the magazine out and pop that round off that's in it. The empty shell will come out great, but a loaded shell, it won't come out. I'll fight it for 15 minutes trying to get it out.
Now, Misfit showed up out in the chat room and said something about the Taurus clone of the 92, which I happen to have right here. This gun is 30 years old. Actually, it's 28 years old. And anybody that likes the Glocks should probably plug their ears, because this is probably the nicest gun I own. I love this gun. It weighs 900 pounds, but I love this gun. It's got the smoothest action of any pistol I've ever used, ever, over and above the Beretta 92. I like the frame-mounted safety versus the slide-mounted safety. And these are fantastic firearms. If you ever get a chance to buy one, get it. They're not very expensive. And like Misfit said, Taurus is not known for making really good firearms. But these clones of the Beretta 92s, in my opinion, outperform and are better than the Berettas.
Yeah, as far as the Taurus versus the Beretta, I've shot Beretta 92s. I don't really have small hands, but I have like slender hands, I guess you'd call it. I don't know. I don't like guns with slide mounted safeties. It's not that I can't reach them. They're just uncomfortable. I like have to change my grip. And that's one thing I do like about the Taurus clone, that it has a frame mounted safety. It's just right there. You know, I mean, it's just natural. I don't like any any slide mounted safety on guns. That's just a personal preference for my hands. So yeah, I can see why you really like the Taurus. I mean, that style gun it's a service revolver. I mean, service pistol. It's made to run. It's full size, little heavy, too big for concealed carry for you average person, and but as far as a functioning firearm, it's an awesome gun.
I've been shooting this gun since it was brand new off the shelf. It was my grandpa's. That's the only gun I have left that was my grandpa's out of a bunch of them after he died. And I need to do a video on this. Just, 30-year-old Taurus still running, basically, video, and just do some shooting with it. I don't shoot it very often. But one of the problems with the Beretta is that when you crab claw it to rack it, you have a tendency to actuate the safety. You have a tendency to throw the safety on. So you load it, you rack it, you extend to fire, and there's nothing because the safety's on. Then you're like, shit. Then you got to reach up there in that retarded slide mounted safety, take it off, and then shoot.
I don't know who Casey is, but Misfit said if Casey can run it with a week with no malfunction, it must be decent.
Oh yeah, Casey. You've seen Casey Rogers in the chat room before. I always give him shit when he's out there. Casey, when I went to, you guys have all heard stories about Misfit and I going to Missouri for a week for that big shoot. Casey flew there and didn't bring any of his guns with him. And so I let him carry this for the week, and this is what he shot at the range and all that. And yeah, other than the fact that it is heavy, and since Casey doesn't like wearing his belt tight, it sat there and flopped and flopped and flopped every time he walked, kind of like hung off his side like this. But because it is heavy. Now the difference between this and the Beretta is this is a PT99 instead of a PT92 because the 99 has a rear adjustable sight, and the 92, like the Beretta, has a fixed rear sight and fixed front sight. Yeah, that is just such an easy action. Love that gun.
Yeah, a lot of people like the smoothness of the Beretta or Taurus in the 92, 99 frame, whatever. I'm just kind of looking over the comments out there, seeing what people are talking about. Yeah, I'm a 1911 fan still, even though I carry a Glock now. Still love my CZ, but the main reason I carry the Glock now is weight. A Glock 17, fully loaded, 17 in the mag, 1 in the chamber, is still lighter than my CZ with an aluminum frame and my 1911 with aluminum frame, and I have 18 rounds of ammunition. That's why I carry it. I'm more accurate with the CZ in 1911, but I'm accurate enough with this to deal with the problem. So I do like the lightweight. I mean, seriously, when I first put this on, when I got this holster, put it on my belt, put it on me, I had to pull the magazine out because I thought I didn't have it loaded. I was like, damn, didn't I load that magazine? That's how much lighter it felt.
Last Tuesday, after I've been having trouble with my Glock was 17, and I got one of the guys out the gun club he's a Glock armorer, and I called him up. I said, "Do you have any 3.5-pound connectors?" He said, "Sure do." So when we got done with our shoot Tuesday night, I went over to his house and he put a 3.5-pound Lone Wolf in it, and it dropped at about a pound, but it still had, after you hit that wall, I still had that slushiness there where it's really bothering me, especially on slow fire. And he took that out and put a Ghost 3.5 Ultimate in it, and it dropped it down about 4.25 pounds, and it feels a whole lot better. Plus, he changed the trigger spring.
Well, and like you said, Don, when you're pulling the trigger real slow is when you notice it. If you had to use that gun for self-defense, you wouldn't notice if it had a 4-pound trigger or an 8-pound trigger.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, it's but I'm trying, working up loads and stuff, and I'm trying to be as slow and deliberate as I can so I can get the best group out of it. And when I hit that spot, I'll just call it a flinch, because it seems like it locks up right there to me, and I don't feel it now that I got that connector in there. So we'll find out Tuesday when I go back out to the range.
Yeah, I had that Ghost disconnector or whatever the hell they call it, the 3.5 pound. They call it 3.5 pound. I really don't know why. I guess if you did the whole 9 yards, it would be 3.5 pound. And it took my trigger down from about 5.5 to 4.5. And then I also put the titanium firing pin block spring, and the actual block is like more rounded.
Right.
And they don't lighten the trigger up, but it makes it feel better. And now it feels pretty good. And at 4.5 pounds, I wouldn't want it any lighter than that. But it did help it. It did make it feel a lot better. And I've told Matt, unless I'm dry firing it or slowly trying to go for accuracy, I don't really notice the trigger. When I do it slow, I notice it. And it feels spongy, and I don't like it. But rapid fire, going through a course or something like that, I really don't notice it.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say, I had to go get my Glock because I need you guys to hear something after Don's done.
I was just going to say, he's got a trigger job. He said he could do a little bit more work to it and get it a lot nicer, but he said the only thing about it, when I do it, he said you have to use Federal primers because they're a thinner coat. I said, well, I don't want that anyway, because I'm basically a CCI primer man. I'll use any primer that's on sale. Like I bought 1,000 today at the gun show, CCIs for $26, which is a good price. And I don't want to be tied into just having to use one primer.
No, I don't want any gun that'll only shoot certain ammo.
No.
Okay, so first, since I was in the kitchen, CTR, that Keltec looks almost identical to the Sky. So, but I want you guys to hear this. You may not be able to hear it on the microphone. These blue microphones are pretty good. So. Did you guys hear the crunch right before the click?
I didn't.
Could you hear that?
Not really.
Okay, maybe you can't hear it. I have had so much dirt and crap and stones and mud inside this gun that I have to get new parts. I'm going to eventually have to get new parts for it, because you can see scars on the polymer pieces that are now rubbing together inside there. This problem, I mean, what's a Glock trigger? 5.5 pounds? 5.8, something like that.
About, yeah.
It's probably a 7-pound trigger now, just because of all the scars and grind marks in the polymers that are usually spaced apart from each other. All those scars have brought, you know, polymer chunks out, and they now rub together.
Well, that's what happens when you fill it full of dirt and then run over it with your truck. But it still works.
Oh yeah, yeah, it still works. I'm gonna let it keep going until it finally gives in. The only thing I've ever had break on it is the trigger spring, and if you look it up, the trigger spring or the trigger reset spring is called the only chink in Glock's armor. Now there is a trigger spring you can buy that's supposed to be indestructible and all that, but I don't. They break once a year and they're $2. I put one in, you know. And
all right, Blue's got to go, which I'm going to end this here in a few minutes anyway. But if you need to go ahead and jump out, Blue, go right ahead and do an outro.
No, I'm good. No, I'm good for like about another 10. Then I gotta get
out
of here.
Yeah, we'll end this here in just a couple of minutes. I will say this. I've said it before. When I was in Desert Storm, you know, I gave Matt hell about having a Glock, and it was all just friendly banter. And other people on YouTube, all friendly banter. In 1990, I was in Desert Storm. We had a Austrian. It wasn't a full battalion, but I'm not sure what they called themselves size-wise. But anyhow, they had a base beside us, and they come over our base because we had better accommodations, so they could come over there and take hot showers and shit like that. They carried what is it? The Steyr. I think it's I don't know how you pronounce it, but the Steyr. Anyhow, the Bullpump 223. That's what they were carrying then, and Glock 17s. So since 1990, and the guy that I bunked with, or you know, beside, not with, but beside in the tent, he was a big Glock fanboy and stuff like that. So I've actually known and wanted a Glock since 1990, and it took me till 2000. Was it this year? 2016 before I finally actually bought one. But I've wanted one since 1990. I mean, I got pictures of me holding a Glock when I was in Desert Storm from one of those guys. We'd like trade firearms, take pictures of each other and that kind of shit, you know. And I've been a fan for a long time. If anybody out there don't know that, any shit you ever heard me talk about Glocks, it was all in fun.
Nice thing about Glocks, I don't even know if you'd be able to see this on camera. Do you see? Yeah, you probably can't, but you see back here where all the mechanism is. It's a lovely, thick, tar-like sludge now of a mixture of oil and sand and dirt.
Clean that shit. See, I mean, you guys were talking about having to replace parts in your guns and stuff. Yeah, I guarantee you I probably don't shoot near as much as you guys do, but I shoot a lot. And I've yet, any of my guns from the first one I've owned up until today, had to replace anything. I mean, am I lucky or am I just not shooting them enough?
I guess go ahead, Matt.
Well, I guess I would say, what gun is it? How much you'd be using it versus just shooting it? You know, because there's a difference. And when I say I got to replace parts, it's because I ran it over with my truck.
Well, you know? I've never done that.
So I mean, you gotta consider. You know, it's when somebody is talking about their pistol getting dirty. I take out my Glock and I throw it in the dirt and I kick a bunch of dirt over it. I rack a bunch of dirt in through the in through the entire mechanism and then shoot it. So I mean, so you got to consider the difference in how we're treating our weapons as well.
Yeah, yeah. I've never, purposely dumped sand in, and I've never done that. But I mean, Christ, that Beretta that I have, I mean, I've had that since 20 years now, and that son of a bitch still. And I mean, I shot the shit out of it. I carried it on duty, which it was, open to the weather for years and years. That son of a, it still looks like I just took it out of the package, but that was my first gun, so of course I think there's like a little, love thing going on there, and I probably clean it more than any of the other ones, but
It's your firstborn child.
exactly. But it looks brand new.
The only part that I can say that I've had to absolutely, I didn't even have to absolutely replace it, is the extractor spring on my AR-15. Not the first one, my second AR-15. But that's after thousands of rounds of ammunition. It just got so weak that it wasn't extracting the rounds. And to be honest, I don't know how many rounds have been through it. I just know it's been thousands. And when I was doing that Tula torture test or whatever, I had a couple of failure to extract. And it was with the Tula ammo. Maybe if I was using brass, it wouldn't have done it then. I don't know. But I still don't mind shooting Russian ammo with my AR. I don't really give shit. But after thousands of rounds, it finally got weak enough that when I pulled the bolt out, I barely touched the extractor and the damn pin fell out. It had no tension on it whatsoever. It was completely weak. Out of all the guns I've had, that's the only part that I've ever had that I would say semi-failed, was that extractor spring on AR. And when I replaced it with a stronger spring that would last longer. So.
War Prophet asked, and I answered him. He's already replied, but in case anybody didn't see it or for anybody watching later, he asked me if I ever clean my guns. The short answer, a good answer would be no. It happens rarely. On a rare occasion, I do clean my guns, and it's usually when it's to the point where I go, damn, this really needs cleaned. And I'm talking about like one of those times where like I'll sit there and I'll like open the chamber up and I can see stones inside there from the desert floor, and I can hear them grinding on the rails of the slide. I'll take, and here's the thing, I'll take it apart and I'll wipe it out and put new oil in it and put it back together. I don't like do the full-on scrub or white glove test.
That's what looks so good.
If it can't run, absolutely neglected. If it can't run like that, I don't want it. I don't collect guns. I have no intention on ever collecting guns. I'm not a gun collector. I have guns for specific reasons. I have AKs, I have Glocks, I have certain guns for specific reasons, and that is, if everything absolutely goes to shit, I will not be able to take care of those guns like I can sitting here with electricity and running water and a job to pay for the the lubes and the cleaners and all that other stuff. That's why I have guns. Not that I'm not a gun guy to begin with, but the guns I have are I have them for a reason. And I mean, I could probably sit here and let's see. AR guys probably ought to not look at this.
That's what my AR looks like.
Yeah,
Mine too.
I just put my hand on the bolt,
Yeah, that's all right.
I do the same thing, Matt. I do not clean my guns like some people think you need to, and I'm not down to anybody that religiously cleans their guns. Let me turn my bandwidth back up. I don't clean my guns that often. I mean, I damn near have to, um, when I just grab it and hold the outside of it makes my hands dirty. That might be the time. Okay, I gotta clean this son of a bitch. It's just gotten too bad. That's when I clean them.
I'm on the opposite side of that spectrum. Every quarter, like every 3 months, I will fucking pull out every gun I own, which is a lot. And they don't need clean, but I still fucking put a patch on with the oil on it, run it down, put a little bit more down, and yeah, whether I've shot it or not.
Nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you know, I'm the problem I have is, and it's not a problem, but the fact that I may only go outside and shoot 10 rounds, 30 rounds, and then I put it back in the safe. And so it might be a year before I finally get around to cleaning it, because I'm not really shooting that many rounds through it. Now, granted, I have pulled guns out of the safe, and I was like, oh shit, it's getting a little surface rust on it, and I'll take the steel wool out and oil, and like, oh shit, I waited too long on this one. But yeah, I'm not a big gun cleaner. I mean, they should just run. And if it don't, I need to get rid of it.
Now, Misfit, when we were in Missouri, we left the range early one day, and I had this rifle. I had all my rifles with me, but I had this rifle. And
is that your 22?
Huh?
Is that your 22?
Yeah, it's a 22. This is the one that I actually had cop prints on for a little while. But he could probably remember when we got back to the campsite, and I decided I was going to clean this. I took the top cover off, tossed it on the ground, and it left so much soot on the concrete slab that it looked like I dumped a Weber grill out. I mean, you want to talk about a dirty, dirty, dirty girl. But yeah, it hasn't been cleaned in a long time either. Or oiled, for that matter. Holy crap.
Now, one thing I will suggest, if you're on the SKS, you do need to do a little periodic cleaning on those. Because if you don't, she'll go full auto on you. I had that happen. I don't know about AK. I hadn't had any problems with my AK, but I had my SKS do a couple of little quick 2 or 3 round bursts on me, and it was lack of cleaning. The damn firing pin was stuck forward and wouldn't come back, and so as soon as it chambered around, it went off again. It was only like 2 or 3 rounds, and then it loosened up, but it kind of caught my attention.
Yeah, slam fire. What happens with the SKS is see the difference. The SKS has that free floating firing pin, and it'll bend, in the outward position. So when it picks up a new round and that bolt, that big old bolt slams forward, it just boom, and it fires.
Yeah, blue jumped out. Yeah, like I said, I've only had that happen one time, and it was only like 2 or 3 rounds. It wasn't like it unloaded the magazine or anything, but it was just enough to like catch my attention. It was like, what the hell was that? And it was just because it was dirty.
Yeah, I'm about done
Yeah,
too.
I can definitely. If you find a damn Chinese AK, I can speak from experience. I love mine. That damn thing works great. Great fit and finish too. All right, guys, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I got to go to work tomorrow. I'm sure you guys do too, and probably some people out there in the audience. Unless there's anything in particular somebody wants to bring up.
I'm good.
All right. Well, Don, go ahead and do an outro, man.
Well, thanks for having me, TR. It's the first time I've ever stayed all the way through your chats. Usually I'm run out of gas about halfway through. But I'd like to invite everybody Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, to the Guys, Guns, and War Chat. TR will be there, Rich 4150. Of course, Matt's got an invitation, and haven't heard from the firearm guy. I don't know if he's going to be there yet or not. So I'd like to see everybody out there Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, I'll be there. Matt, would you like to say anything on the outro, man?
Sure. Check out the channel, Resist Tyranny, Guns, Gear, and Politics. All the social media links. I'll probably be there on Thursday. I don't think this week is as full of stuff as previous weeks have been. I've been pretty selfish with my time lately, my off time. But also Friday, some of you may know I'm starting to do a chat every other week. I haven't quite got back full into the swing of things like I used to be, as far as structured as the chat used to be, as my show used to be. But it's opposite of the Conundrum, every other Friday. So check that out this upcoming Friday. And my new video, what's the name of it? Oh, Stupid Gun Control Arguments, Part 6. And I'm looking for help here, folks. You know, start sending me messages, emails. If you got my phone number, text messages, whatever. For gun control, stupid gun control argument subjects. I also got a review out recently. It's not much of a review because I really hate reviewing holsters because there's not much to say about them. But Vetter sent me one of their holsters to review. It's a pretty nice holster for an all Kydex inside the waistband. Yeah, check out Vetter holsters if you want. They're pretty good product. Pretty evenly priced too. So other than that, that's about it.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll be there Friday. As far as me, I'm going to go ahead. As of right now, I'm not going to do a Tuesday night chat. Just this week. Only because somebody at work's having a birthday party after work. And I don't get out much, so I'm going to attend that. So for right now, unless something changes, if it does, since I'm announcing it, I'll make sure and do a video and say I'm doing a chat. But right now, I'm not going to do a Tuesday night chat this week, but next week, of course, I will. But I'll be on Don's chat Thursday. I'll be on Matt's chat Friday. And anyway, I guess that's about it. And we'll see you next time. Later, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Muzzle.